Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to learn web development and become a better coder, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. In the previous video we discussed the relationship between position relative, position absolute and position fixed. I also said that this video will be about floats and images, but in fact there is one more position that we need to cover, and that is position sticky. In CSS, position sticky used to be not supported or not correctly implemented or not implemented in a standardized way in a number of browsers. That's why it took quite some time for this value on the position property to start getting some traction and being accepted and used as part of a front-end web developer's toolbox. However, these days have been over for quite some time, and if you haven't already had experience with position sticky, watch on. How does position sticky work in CSS? For the CSS position sticky to work meaningfully, we need to define the area to which an element should stick. This means that besides us setting our chosen element to position sticky, we also need to define the container to which this sticky element will stick. Luckily, this is as simple as can get. As soon as we've defined an element to have position sticky, we're immediately setting that element's closest ancestor as the sticky container. This sticky container is the part of the page in which a sticky item can have this fixed-like behavior, meaning area of the page where the sticky item can behave as if it is a fixed element. Keep in mind that a sticky container still behaves the same as all the regularly positioned elements in our HTML structure. If we scroll the sticky parent, eventually it will scroll out of view, and with the sticky parent, the sticky element will scroll out as well. However, as long as the sticky container is in the viewport, the sticky element will appear as though it is fixed on the page, and its specific position will depend on the top, right, bottom, and left properties values, if we choose to define them. Long story short, the sticky element is a prisoner of its sticky container. Here's a simple position sticky CSS example. In this example, we have a sidebar as a sticky container and an orange-colored div as a sticky element. This is an approach that websites sometimes use to show information that user must see as they scroll, such as some promotional content on a website. The HTML for our simple position sticky example is the following. We have a main element and an aside element. Those are these two white boxes with gray borders. Inside the aside, we have three divs, and the center div or the middle div is set to be a sticky element, making the aside a sticky parent or a sticky container. As far as the CSS goes, we have a min height for each of the divs of 300 pixels. Body is using a special display property that we haven't yet covered, so we won't go into it right now. The main has the width of 500 pixels and the height of 4000 pixels. The aside has the width of 300 pixels and the height of 2000 pixels. This makes both the main and the aside taller than the actual viewport, as we can see here, but also makes the aside shorter than the actual main content, so we can see that the parent container will go out of view after we cover its full height. Note also that we're setting the top position of 20 pixels on the sticky element, so it doesn't get glued, so to say, to the very top of the sticky wrapper, i.e. to the top of the aside element. However, this means that the third div in the assigned element will get scrolled under the sticky, and thus for a brief moment, depending on how fast a user is scrolling the page, the heading of the third div will be visible between the top of the viewport and the 20 pixels empty area above the sticky div. This effect can be seen right here. If we scroll down slowly, this is what we'll see. But otherwise, let's focus a little bit on the actual sticky behavior. It's really simple if you come to think of it. The sticky container is in the viewport because it's 2000 pixels tall. Once we scroll out of it, the sticky element will scroll out of the view with it as well. There are a number of ways of dealing with this glitchy looking issue of the third div kind of scrolling behind the second sticky div, but we will not cover them now. It's just important to keep in mind that things like this are possible and will occur. The best approach, as with anything related to web design and development, is to test our work and implement a solution that is suitable for a given scenario. In other words, sometimes we want to have the exact behavior like the one shown in our simple example of position sticky. Other times,
we need to improve the user experience by, for example, starting our sticky container from top 0, but then nesting other divs inside of it to get the same visual effect as if it was moved from the top by 20 pixels, thus getting the best of both worlds. That's it for this simple sticky example, and in the next video we'll finally start talking about floats and images.